Can other people hear the sound from the video? Yeah, I cannot hear it. Atticus, if you could change some settings.
Okay, I'll do that now.
Hi everyone. While we wait, feel free to put your names, pronouns, what org you're in, in the chat if you'd like to share, and we'll get started soon.
Well, my name is Alma Bowman. I was born in the Philippines, 1966. I moved to the United States in 1977 with my parents. We lived in Jones County ever since. Right now, I'm trying to find a way to keep me here in the United States to be with my only family. My mom is from Bulan, Sorsogon. My dad is a naval officer. I moved to the United States in 1977 with my parents, and I graduated at Jones County High, whereas my kids graduated there too, both of them. So while I was at a red light, I was pulled over by Fulton County Police, and they said, do you own this car? And I said, yeah. I said, well, we have a warrant for your arrest. The ICE got me. I thought that this whole time, everybody thought that I was a US citizen. A lot of the people were having problems. A lot of them do not speak English. And so, there's always a language barrier. And like I said, a lot of places do not have translators. He's doing procedures on them without them knowing that they're doing that particular procedure. Any little bitty thing I do, if any contact with any police, I'm afraid that ICE gonna put that hold and then I'm back in detention.
She is so much better of a mom than what she tries to give herself credit for. She has been there for me more than she likes to think she does, but as usual mom fashion, they always think they should be able to do more no matter how much they do for you.
Growing up, she always made sure my friends had food. That's one of the things that I'm guilty of now, too.
And I have my mom now, but I'm terrified every day that she's not going to be there.
Right now, I'm trying to find a way to keep me here in the United States to stay with my family. They're, like I said, my only family.
Great. Thanks for putting that on, Tech. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Justice for Alma Bowman Defend Filipino Migrants webinar. We're really excited to spend some time together today. We'll be hearing from community members on their experiences in detention while fighting for justice. And we'll also be talking about ways we can all collectively take up the fight and defend our immigrant and migrant communities. But before we really start today, I wanted to introduce myself as well as my co-MC. Hi, everybody. My name is Jenica. I use she and he pronouns. I'm with Gabriella LA. Gabriella is a grassroots anti-imperialist organization of Filipinas and LGBT plus individuals fighting for national democracy and the rights and welfare of Filipino women and children. We're part of Gab USA, and we are an international chapter of Gab Philippines. And we really strive to build a mass movement, recognizing that the problems Filipino women face in the US are really linked to the root problems of the Philippines. And we're really excited to be partnering with Malaya today to put on this webinar. Yeah, Julie, will you introduce yourself and share a little bit more about Malaya?
Yes. Hi, everyone. So excited to be here for Alma and the Justice for Alma Bowman campaign. My name is Julie Hamora. I'm part of Malaya Movement USA and our DC chapter. And we're a broad movement of individuals, organizations who uphold, defend, and assert human rights, democracy, and sovereignty in the Philippines. And we know when we talk about human rights that we say migrant rights are human rights, workers' rights are human rights, and that is something as a Filipino community we must uphold and defend. So yeah, so excited to be here.
Great. Thank you so much, Julie. If we could go to the next slide, we'll briefly go over some webinar reminders. So just 3 things. So firstly, please update your name to include your city and or organization if that applies to you. And feel free to share in the chat as well. Secondly, to minimize noise, we ask that everyone, stay muted during the Zoom. And then lastly, this event is currently being recorded for future use as a resource for the Justice for Alma Bowman campaign. If that's all good and dandy, we'll go to the next slide. And we'll review a little bit of an outline of our agenda for today. So right now we are in the welcome and doing some introductions. We're going to go into some background on the Justice for Alma Bowman campaign. We'll hear from Alma herself, as well as other community speakers. And throughout the webinar today, there will be some fundraising and raffle opportunities, so get hyped for that. There'll also be a cultural performance that we'll watch, hear from a couple more community speakers, and then we'll end today with a call to action. Yeah, how does that sound to everybody? Are you excited? Thumbs ups, heart emojis? Okay, period. Okay, nice. Awesome. Let's go to the next slide. Well, just wanted to thank everybody again for being here. It's really more important than ever that we take the time to learn and hear stories directly from our Filipino community, right? Our community who has had firsthand experiences in detention, especially since his first day, Trump really began an outright attack on migrant workers through the passing of a number of egregious executive orders. In the first 50 days alone of his administration, ICE has made over 32,000 enforcement arrests. And we know that many of those who have been deported are regular working people being criminalized simply for migrating. And what has the response really been from our own Philippine government, right? Since the election of Donald Trump, the Philippine government has jumped at the opportunity to welcome and show even eagerness to work with this new president. The Philippine government has been disrespectful and thoughtless when responding to overseas Filipinos' concerns about mass deportation, and even the Philippine ambassador to the U.S., Jose Romualdez, faced backlash for his comments of "don't wait to be deported," and even urging undocumented Filipinos to, quote unquote, self-deport themselves to leave the U.S. before Trump, before his inauguration. just offering no help or a clear path for overseas Filipino migrants. So it's very clear in these current political conditions that there really is a need right now to unite together as Filipinos in the US, as allies, as defenders of all migrants, to really come together and protect our communities. Because, yeah, our kababayan, our fellow Filipinos, they face the threat of deportation every day. Um, yeah, and so with that, I'll pass it to Julie to take us through some background on the campaign.
Yeah, so thank you all for coming today. Your support is really urgently needed for the Justice for Alma Bowman campaign. I'll go into a little bit of a background of what the campaign is, who is Alma, and we'll hear her speak also a little bit later in the program. But this campaign is fighting for justice for Alma, but not only Alma, the many immigrants and migrants who are facing the brunt of this unjust immigration system that Jenica was just so well laying out earlier. Violence and abuse at the hands of ICE, and now increasingly these attacks under the Trump administration. A little bit about Alma. She is a 58-year-old Filipina, mother to two sons, a human rights and immigrant rights advocate, a whistleblower, and a member of Malaya Movement Georgia. She was formerly detained by ICE and witnessed medical malpractice on migrant women in Georgia at the Irwin County Detention Center and bravely became a whistleblower to expose these injustices that were happening on migrant women. If you could go to the next slide. Yeah, Alma was born in the Philippines in 1966 to a Filipina. We heard in the video earlier from Bulan, Sorsogon. So shout out to all my Bicolanos out there, and an American veteran in Pasay City in the Philippines. However, her parents weren't married at the time and was married 2 years later, and she didn't acquire US citizenship. Alma's parents migrated to the US first, and Alma was brought to the United States with her parents in 1977 when she was 10 years old. So some of these pictures are of Alma and her kids, and really just showing how Alma's family settled in Macon, Georgia. It's about 2 hours south of Atlanta and grew deep roots into the community. Alma has spent 48 years of her life living in the United States, which is the majority of her life, and has no connections or ties to the Philippines if she were to be deported. We also heard a little bit in the video, but Alma was pulled over by the Fulton County Police and on August 9th, 2017, and ultimately detained by ICE until December 2020. Throughout detention, Alma was transferred between many facilities, starting with the Atlanta City Detention Center, then Irwin County Detention Center, from January 2018 to October 2020. If you go to the next slide, just a trigger warning because a lot of the medical abuse was targeted towards migrant women, which includes medical abuse, but also talking about the medical abuse sustained as also being like being raped. So trigger warning when we talk about what was going down in the detention center. ICDC is where Alma witnessed and experienced horrific medical abuse and negligence by ICE, where Dr. Amin was conducting unnecessary gynecological procedures on migrant women. This doctor became known by a nurse whistleblower that exposed him and the many women as like the ovary collector. They were putting unnecessary gynecological procedures, forced sterilizations on women. And so while incarcerated, Alma found any opportunity to improve the conditions of these migrant women and what they were subjected to. She became a whistleblower and really was always looking out for the well-being of others. She wrote letters to the staff at Project South about the conditions of the facility to expose what was happening under COVID, but also what was going on with Dr. Amin and all the malpractice. So with such bravery, Alma became a part of a group of whistleblowers in a class action lawsuit, and also was one of the key witnesses in a congressional investigation into this horrific abuse at this ICE detention facility. During this time, Alma also lost possession of her vehicle. ICE lost all of her documents, which many of us suspect that this is in retaliation also for speaking up. Her deportation order was set for June 4th, 2020, but the process didn't actually start until October 2020, where she transferred to a detention center in Arizona and in Texas, and ultimately through the work of community activists and also the advocacy of Hank Johnson of Georgia's 4th District. Alma was able to have a stay of deportation to halt the deportation process. Now, Alma lives with her family and her two wonderful kids as she pursues her fight for justice. She's currently under an order of supervision, so she has to do mandatory ICE check-ins periodically. Her next one is upcoming. So, next slide. And then the next few slides will show you, yeah, really the power of of Alma, of her community, and the power of building community defense and supporting one another. While Alma's case is very complicated, it's clear there's been so much government neglect, mismanagement, abuse by both the United States and the Philippine government. Despite being born in the Philippines and having a birth certificate, the Philippine government claims it doesn't have any records of Alma's birth, leaving Alma essentially to be stateless. It further complicates the deportation order and gives possibilities of indefinite detention. Alma also has many health conditions that if they were to be detained, we've already seen across the country. ICDC is not unique. All across the board, detention centers are inhumane. They're profit-driven. They don't care about the lives and the well-being of migrants. So we want to really do all that we can do to raise awareness and help prevent Alma from being detained at this upcoming ICE check-in, which is happening on March 26th. So all of you here are here today, and we hope that you'll share her story and that you'll take some action with us. So that's our short-term goal, but also in the long term, we want to end their deportation order, have the Board of Pardon and Paroles grant a full pardon for Alma, grant U.S. citizenship to Alma because she rightfully qualifies for it. To end the abuse of migrants at the hands of ICE and shutting down all of these notorious detention centers and really see an end to the forced migration and family separation of Filipino migrants. So we'll hear a little bit later in the program from Alma. And if you could go to the next slide, there are some other photos from, many amazing campaign activities and advocacy work that Alma has done across the years, whether it's talking to Filipino organizations, attending the Gabriela Congress, actions at the United Nations, or building with community in Georgia. Next slide. Yes, or even doing lobbying in Washington, D.C. Next slide. And we'll have calls to action throughout the program. So you can learn about Alma's campaign by visiting the link tree. The ICE check-in is on Wednesday, March 26th. So if you can travel to Atlanta, if you're based in Atlanta, please come support. We'll have a speak out at the Atlanta field office at 8:30 a.m. And the day before, we also have an art build. So if you want to build, sing karaoke, yeah, we'll be down there. Next slide. And then one major way that you can help is to donate. It costs a lot of resources. Alma and her family live 2 hours away from Atlanta. It takes a significant amount of resources to travel to these mandatory check-ins with ICE. So your donation will go a long way. We're trying to raise $2,000 for urgent car repairs, gas, meals, housing, printing for the campaign, art supplies for our protest action. So there's a QR code and the links will also be dropped in the chat. Next slide. And you can join the raffle for a chance to win crochet art made by Alma. Also, we have a Malaya USA t-shirt. Raffle tickets are $5 each, and you can visit this link that's dropped in the chat. So you're going to want to buy your raffle tickets now because Alma is about to share all of these amazing crochet art that you could potentially have. Next slide. But to walk you through the process, you'll follow this link. You'll, pick how much you want to donate. They're $5 each, so pick whatever amount you want to do, and you go to the next slide. And there's also a drop-down menu where you can mark that you're buying a raffle ticket, or you could just do a general donations if you don't want to participate in the raffle, but the raffle is so fun, so you should all do it. Next slide. And then we're gonna have a live wheel. So we'll have a digital wheel that tabs will share. So you'll see your name there. And if you win, you'll get one of these amazing crochet art pieces. But I'm gonna invite Alma to walk us through all of her amazing work.
Hey everyone. Uh, first thing, thank you guys for coming, and thank you everyone for everybody's support in doing this. Yeah, I'm doing my crochets to help me raise money, like for medical, usually mostly for my medical, since I mean I've recently just left the hospital, so yes. But yeah, like this crochet item is pride color, pride flag. These are the ones that I have right now, but if you happen to want one that's your pride color, just let me know and it'll be done.
Yes, I love these bees.
Any of these items, if you want it in particular colors that you want, just let me know what you need.
But can you share what these are? This one looks so
It's
fun.
a hedgehog, but they're called fidget toys because the beads, I guess, you could move them around and things like that. But they're kind of cute. Now we can get them in, like I said, any color that you want. I can even change the color of the hedgehog if you want to. And I can get them glow in the dark. These are, I don't know if you are familiar with One Piece. These are the devil fruit. The one that's got red, that's Chopper, the one that he ate. And the other one is the one that Nico Robin ate. And these are spinners. Uh, I've got the Philippine flag, and on the bottom, it's weighted down with the sun and three stars. It doesn't show real well on there, but you could put them inside the house or out on your porch, and it'll just spin, spin, spin when the wind blows on it. And these are seems to be everybody's favorite is a Philippine hat. I made two different designs, but they all have the sun and the three stars. They're bucket hats.
Yes, thank you so much, Alma. So y'all better, start buying your raffle tickets so you can get one of these amazing crocheted items. The hat and the spinners that, spin in the wind, they will be auctions later, starting at 40 and then $50. So yeah, get ready to show your support for Alma. But we're gonna get into our community speakers. Our first speaker is Sam. Sam uses she, her pronouns, is a member of Malaya, Georgia, and an attorney with Asian Americans Advancing Justice Atlanta. She has been involved with immigrant rights organizing in the South for the last several years, including the campaign to shut down the Folkestone ICE Processing Center, an immigration detention facility in South Georgia. She frequently visits immigrants detained in ICE detention centers and federal prisons across Georgia and files habeas petitions in federal court to try to get them free. She also provides Know Your Rights trainings on how community members can navigate interactions with ICE and the police. Her background is in First Amendment and constitutional law and has been advocating on behalf of Palestinian students and others associated with them who have been punished in retaliation for pro-Palestine speech. Yeah, thank you so much, Sam. I'll pass it to you.
Thanks, Julie, for the intro. Thank you, Alma. I love seeing all of your beautiful creations.
Really hope people, buy some raffle tickets for the chance to get one of those beautiful pieces. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here with us tonight. I know we have folks on this call from all across the country and all different time zones, so really appreciate you all. I'm originally from San Diego, California. I grew up in Chula Vista and San Isidro, and my parents still live there. So in addition to just being Filipino, I also grew up as a border kid in the South Bay of San Diego. I moved to Georgia in 2020. I got involved with immigrants' rights organizing right when I got here, and that's how I met Alma while I was working at the First Amendment Clinic at the University of Georgia School of Law. And in September 2020, shortly after I started that job, a nurse at an ICE facility in Irwin County blew the whistle on abuse happening to immigrant women detained in the facility, which Julie spoke a little bit about earlier this evening. So in 2021, after a ton of advocacy and protests outside the detention center, and even a lawsuit that I, was fortunate to help work on, the Biden administration decided that the Irwin County Detention Center would no longer function as an ICE facility. But I mean, I'm talking about this because, tonight's webinar is not just to support Alma, but also to let folks know who might not be aware about, this is just a little bit of the types of abuse that have happened in Georgia's ICE detention centers. So I'd like to start by talking about the collaboration between Georgia state and local law enforcement officials with ICE for people who might not be located in Georgia or might not know. In Georgia, the collaboration between state and local law enforcement with ICE is really strong, and it gets stronger every day. If you're not familiar with the term, a 287G agreement, it's the name of the agreement that state and local agencies enter into with ICE that allows state and local law enforcement to collaborate with ICE. So these state and local agencies apply for these 287G agreements. And when cities call themselves sanctuary cities, that's what they're for refusing to cooperate with ICE. That's what they're referring to. They're referring to a commitment to not apply for a 287G agreement. But last year, the Georgia legislature passed a bill that is often referred to by its bill name, HB 1105. But its full name is the Georgia, a million air quotes, the Georgia Criminal Alien Track and Report Act. HB 1105 outlaws sanctuary city policies in Georgia. It requires the sheriffs of all 159 counties in the state to seek out a 287G agreement, meaning that if a sheriff's office refuses to cooperate with ICE, it will be subject to civil and criminal penalties. So even if a local sheriff's office wants to become a sanctuary city, it is criminally prohibited from doing so. In my role as an attorney with Asian Americans Advancing Justice Atlanta, I hear directly from individuals who are in ICE custody across the state, as well as their families. And despite our organization's name, we help people no matter what country they are from. The main places where people are detained in Georgia are the Stewart Detention Center and the Folkestone ICE Processing Center. And most recently, the Federal Correctional Institution Atlanta, also known as FCI Atlanta, which is a federal prison under the Federal Bureau of Prisons. The Trump administration's mass crackdown on immigrants has led to really severe overcrowding in ICE detention centers. In the Stewart Detention Center, the men's facilities are extremely overcrowded. I have a Sri Lankan client, an asylum seeker who has been in detention for over a year, who has been reporting for weeks now that people are forced to sleep on the floor on mattresses that are filthy and stained. And despite people already sleeping on the floors in rooms where the toilets are so clogged that they can't even flush, ICE continues to bring people in. And these detention centers are so overcrowded that people are being transferred from ICE detention centers, which are already so horrible, to even worse places, to federal prison.
in Atlanta, where conditions are even worse. At least in ICE detention, people attend their immigration court hearings over a video call with an immigration judge. But when someone is detained in FCI Atlanta, the prison doesn't do anything to ensure that people can attend their immigration proceedings, since they say that's ICE's responsibility, not the responsibility of the Bureau of Prisons. I have another client who is from Liberia who fled the country after being forced to be a child soldier. He's been detained in the Folkestone ICE Processing Center for over 2 years now. He's told my team that he saw someone who was detained in that facility, and who had an immigration hearing scheduled, but was transferred to another facility days before that hearing. And so we have no idea whether that individual was allowed to attend his immigration hearing. People are also being transferred to facilities out of state where it's difficult for their families and certainly for their attorneys to get a hold of them, because each detention facility is unique and has its own idiosyncrasies with how they do things. So that's a lot about, the horrors of detention. As for those who are not in ICE detention and who are on an order of supervision, what were once routine ICE check-ins under the Biden administration now carry a lot of potential for people to be detained. So I know that we have a lot of really amazing, community advocates on this call, maybe even some directly impacted folks. So sharing this information, for whatever it's worth, if it's useful to you or to people you know. If you or a community member have an ICE check-in coming up, try to, if you can, get an attorney to go to the check-in with you. If an attorney goes, they should file what's called a G-28, just, basically entering an appearance so that they can, appear as your advocate. But even if you can't have an attorney go with you, having an adult family member or a community advocate who is a U.S. citizen go with you to the check-in can be really helpful. So my plan is to, accompany Alma to her check-in next week. And I know that there's a number of people who are planning on holding a rally outside 180 Ted Turner Drive outside the Atlanta ICE field office at the same time. But, in preparation for that check-in, my team has been talking to a bunch of attorneys to, try to figure out what's happening with this new administration. And so this is some fresh advice that I'm distilling, that I've gotten from a number of different people, including someone I spoke to today. You should bring a cover letter to the check-in that is very simple and covers your main arguments as to why the person should not be detained. This should cover things like the individual's vulnerabilities, or why the person is responsible and can be expected to show up to a future ICE check-in. So when I say vulnerabilities, what that might include could be medical issues that the person is experiencing. You could also mention people for whom the person is the primary caretaker, like children or, anyone who might need care. So that, vulnerabilities would not just include that person's vulnerabilities, but maybe also the vulnerability of another person. As for why the person, is responsible, if they have a work authorization card, you can talk about that, how they have a job, if they do have a job. And facts which would support that they have which would support the idea that they would show up for a future ICE check-in and that they would comply with supervision without having to, be detained and having to be in a cage. You can talk about how they've shown up for previous ICE check-ins before. If there is an advocate there, I've been advised to push for less restrictive alternatives. I don't know if people here have seen the show Mo on Netflix. That show does a really good job of sort of illustrating what ICE detention or, alternatives to detention can look like. But some people are released from ICE detention on an ankle monitor. Some people are released and they, check in via phone call. Or they have to, take a selfie and like submit it over an app. I mean, obviously, these are all still mechanisms for state surveillance that can be deeply, deeply disturbing, and can present their own constitutional issues. But it's worth having a discussion among a support committee if the person under ICE supervision would be interested in any of these things. Um, so that's all that I have for this evening. If folks have more questions about what Advancing Justice Atlanta does, feel free to reach out. We have offices all across, we have affiliate offices all across the country. So if I can't answer your question, maybe someone else can. But thanks for your time and thanks for being here tonight.
Can we give a round of applause to Sam? Thank you so much, Sam, for your speech and accompanying Alma to her check-ins. Really appreciate not just the advice and teaching us about ICE check-ins, but also just detailing your own experiences supporting people and the horrors they faced in ICE detention. If folks have any questions for Sam or anyone, any other speakers today, please feel free to direct your questions actually to the person labeled questions in all caps. You can go ahead and DM them, and we'll have a bit of time at the end to answer a few questions. If we could go to the next slide. Just wanted to do a little fundraising plug again. If you want to purchase a raffle ticket to win some crochet art made by Alma or even a Malaya, is that still happening? Yes. Okay, Malaya t-shirt. Feel free to use the link to donate. And then next slide as well. Donations will, go to support Alma and her family's travel for the upcoming ICE check-in that Sam was talking about. And just really help us reach our March fundraising goal of 2,000. That being said, I'll pass it back to Julie for our next speaker.
Thank you, Jenica. And our next speaker is going to be Alma herself. Very excited for Alma to share in her own words because Alma isn't just a victim. She is a survivor. She is an activist in her own right, and she fiercely protects, everybody around her, especially those going through similar situations like Alma. So she truly is very inspiring to me. Please show some love in the chat for Alma. Can we get some justice for Alma Bowman? Show your love and support, and we'll have a little moderated discussion. So yeah, Alma, you want to say hi to everyone again? I know you talked about your crochet. Yeah, so we have a few questions. It's pretty amazing that Alma has found, despite all of the hardship and the conditions that she experienced while in detention at ICDC and also, being transferred to different detention centers across the country. What were those conditions you experienced or witnessed firsthand that led you to becoming a whistleblower?
Well, it all started, I was there from 2018 to 2020. The conditions are like, the holes in the ceiling, water just, every time it rains, we have to ask for buckets, rust on floors, walls. And my whistleblowing started with the COVID. Myself, and a lot of elderly women with chronic illnesses and mental health, we were all in one dorm, and we were only using half of it. And when the ICE brings in new people, they were starting to put them in our dorm too. And with the COVID, we were starting to get afraid because when they are let out, they're using the same phones we use, the tables and everything. And they haven't been tested and been out there. And, nobody is wiping. None of the officers are providing anything to sanitize anything after they are being used by new people. And so I decided to write someone, and I had asked around and someone mentioned Project Sal. I wrote a 5-page letter, telling them about the conditions. We had to ask for masks, not just for us, the detainees, but for the officers to be wearing around us because they're all, in and out. We're confined. So yeah, that and
once we had moved, they moved us to a different dorm, all the chronic illnesses and things like that. And a week later, after we were moved, people are starting to develop, COVID. And most of the time, our dorm was always in lockdown because, people keep getting it. And some of them, they don't even know that, because we asked, tests. We wrote for tests to get tested. And even if you're like you're feeling bad or something and you just want them to, hey, take my temperature, we have nurses that comes in 3 times a day to give you your medicine. And you know, it's just as easy to pull that thermometer and point it to their head and take the temperature. And what they say is that, okay, we'll have you sent a medical request. Well, medical is so shorthanded that, it takes weeks for us to get anything. And then uh a lot of the women that was being deported had problems with the Dr. Amin. Dr. Amin, I had problems with Dr. Amin, but luckily I've already had my my hysterectomy before I came in, so none of that happened. But most of them happened to women who has language barriers. You know, they're not, they don't understand English, not even a little bit. That they can say, "Hey, what's going on? Why? What procedure am I getting, or anything like that?" And nobody's translating. And yes, most of them were deported. And there was a case, but the case, I think it ended up to be just, like a slap in the hand, if you ask me, from the verdict from all that.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, Alma. It was a particularly really difficult time too, being under detention during the COVID pandemic. And you mentioned before that there were, you know, the conditions beyond the medical abuse were unsanitary, were awful. You mentioned rain buckets. Could you share a little bit more of beyond the medical abuse, what the facilities are like?
Well, I mean, medical, they know that you're taking medication daily, most of them for the rest of your life. Like in my case, for my diabetes, my thyroid, they already know that and they have that in your records. But there are times that we will have to wait for a week or two before we get refills on our medication. And I mean, the conditions compared from other facilities that I've been, Irwin was the worst. Like I said, I was there, 2 years, and nothing was being done about the holes in the ceilings or the rust and the water down bleaches. I mean, I don't even think they were bleach if you ask me, but yeah, that's what whatever we have. The food's terrible. I mean, you have uh certain diets, like low sodium, heart healthy. Everybody gets the same food. And most of the time you can't really eat it because it's either too salty or just bad.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I know these stories are all too common. We're hearing many migrants in detention, especially Filipino migrants, the experience of Denmark and Jovi in the Northeast, of Ligaya, also in Arizona. Um, so thank you for sharing. I think as the community, we should really expose this profit-driven system that treats migrants like money, yet does nothing to care for their livelihood and well-being. So can you share, the next question is, what are some ways that we can support loved ones or community members while they're in detention?
One thing, when I was being detained, I did not know that organizations like Malaya, Gabriella, Iwa, you know, existed. And so, and I know a lot of people that's being detained did not know that either, and neither did their family. and they need support or just help. Because if I met you guys while I was in detention, I don't think I'd be in the situation that I am in now, you know, being out undocumented. Because I probably could get help, like, hey, Sam would have been there. No questions asked, you for lawyers and everything, even just ask questions when, yeah, we were provided with computers, but there's no internet. So whatever questions we have, it's whatever they have in the computer. So yeah, having organizations out there that would help not just support the person that's being detained, but especially the family. Uh, uh, because I mean, a lot of these women, most of them, their breadwinners are being detained too, husband and wife, and most of them they can't see each other because they're separated, but they have children out there, and they're afraid that nobody's taking care of them. And I mean, the support. I mean, you don't have. It doesn't have to be monetary kindness. Yeah, just being there for people to talk to. Because I know when I first got my first order of deportation, my daughter, well, my son, Chris, my child, was going to college, working, and because they were helping me with, let's say, $20 a month to so I could stay in contact with them on by phone. Their father kicked him out and took everything away from him. So he was homeless, and just had mental breakdown. And if we had known that there are people that can even just talk would help, you know. And to hear your name called out when it's being, mail call, that lets the detainee know that, hey, there's somebody out there that cares.
Yes. Yeah, I know in previous conversations, Alma shared how letters, even simply like act of caring through writing a letter to a loved one in detainment, or even ensuring the commissary is full because the food is so awful that's provided. Thank you, Alma. The next question is, what has life been like after being detained? We know that these government institutions aren't really there to set you up for success or to ensure that you're living a life, that cares about your well-being. But yeah, can you share a little bit about what it's been like after you got released in 2020?
Yeah, after my release, I mean, even though, yay, I'm out, I'm with my family, I am undocumented. And, certain states being undocumented is not as bad, but Georgia, I feel like it's the worst. I cannot get insurance. I can't even have a driver's license. And I've had AAAJ help me get a work permit. But where I'm at, the public transportation is not great. That I have to, base on job hunting as far as, getting rides from my child. And that's kind of hard. And, not having, like I said, the driver's license, you can't get anywhere. I mean, you pay so much money for the work permit, at least give you a temporary permit to drive back and forth to your job. But medical has been terrible. We struggle all the time. I'm afraid. Knock on the doors. Oh my God. Especially this time. I mean, I'm afraid if I hear that somebody knock on the door, I'm like, turn everything off, sit still, and don't say anything. And then thanks to Julie, we got our ring, and which helps. I mean, calms me down a little bit when it comes to the knocking part. But I'm always afraid to go out, especially right now. to be asked, just like when I had to go to the emergency room. We were trying to get in touch with everybody saying, can we go? You know, because I didn't know how it would affect as far as, being detained or anything. But thank God everything went well with that. But yeah, I mean, it's just having to report. I mean, I started reporting 3 times, every 3 months, and put in an application for travel document, and wasn't hearing anything from the Philippine embassy for a year. I mean, I emailed, called, nothing, until to the point where ICE was getting down on my case every time I report, as far as, hey, uh, what about your travel document application? So that time, the kids went to the embassy, and they didn't even know what they were talking about as far as that's concerned, until they had to get somebody, and then they said, oh yeah, we have her application. It's never processed. So, I mean, and then they wouldn't even give the kids anything to show that, hey, they went to the embassy to check on the application, went all the way to DC to check on the application. So what the kids did was just took a picture of where they signed in and their picture of the emblem. And that's what I showed to ICE. And I guess it was good enough because I had me start going to report every year, yearly. And the reports have been good, but with the new administration, I'm scared. I mean, my thing is should I report? Should I not? But then I don't want to be looking back over my shoulder every darn time wherever I go. So I'd rather face the music.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Alma. These are definitely choices that you shouldn't have to make. And, again, there's just been so much mismanagement and negligence with the Philippine government, the US government. So that's something this campaign is actively trying to fight. Fight for Alma, fight for justice, fight for Alma's right to choose where she gets to live, where she chooses to migrate, in addition to immigrants and migrants around the world. Um, so we have two more questions. One question, Alma really, after watching a lot of different immigration webinars, know your rights trainings, didn't see a lot of talk about people who are under an order of supervision, who are not detained in a detention center, but still have to report to ICE while living, at home with family. Can you share what the process is like, going to the ICE check-ins, and any advice you'd like to share for other immigrants and migrants going through similar situations?
Well, from the past, I mean, main thing, prepared to wait. It tells you it starts at 8. It doesn't. I guess they just want you to go in. I mean, the line is long. Um, Weather conditions. Bring umbrella because there's no cover. I mean, there's no away from the wind or rain. Even when they were doing the construction across the street, all their sawdust was being blown at us because I mean there was just no cover or anything. But the wait for the outside and then wait inside. And in my experience, no one was allowed to go in with me. I mean, I've seen people go in with smaller children, and there are some that had brought their husbands and stuff. But I was told that my children couldn't because of the limited seats inside. Um, I had some knee problem that last time I had a wheelchair, and they let one of my child go in to report with me. And when I got there, ICE looks at me and says, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm here to report." You know, whatever the kiosks that they had put up, they don't use those anymore. To report, they don't use the kiosks anymore. You have to just wait, but make sure that they have your proper address, phone number. Well, I don't know if you should or not, the way things are right now, But yeah, it's just waiting. Make sure you got, proper hydration. I mean, there's always two lines. One is for the ones that's going to court and one that's for to report. And most of the time you'll have ICE officers out there trying to, you know, do things, but every time a different one comes in, each rule change. So just be prepared and yeah, wait. Be prepared to wait.
Yes.
Hopefully get to come home.
Yes. Yes. And I know Malai Georgia has done really great work in community allies, accompanying you on the outside of ICE check-ins and building, sharing snacks, water, information about their rights too, which I know Marte will speak a little bit to a little bit later. Our last question is, with all the injustices that you experience, you continue to fight not only for yourself, but for immigrants and migrants everywhere. So what motivates you to continue fighting?
What motivates me, for one thing, is my family. And if I can help anybody not go through what I've been going through, I want to be there and shout out. I mean, hey, let people know that, hey, this is what's really happening. No matter what social media is saying, this is, hey, I've experienced it. And I mean, I've done a lot of advocating. I've talked with different organizations, spoken them. I mean, People's Forum in New York, even march in the, to the UN, uh, FSA's, conference here in Atlanta, and Gabriella Ewa, their conference. Yeah, I mean, I've been and advocated for AAAJ with the ECCA, and the way things are now, I mean, I'm still hopeful that things will get passed. But yeah, I want to help anybody from having to go through what I'm going through, being torn away from their family, not knowing where to go, that to let them know, hey, there's people out there like you guys, my new family, are out there that can help. Like, I mean, you know, it's just a lot of people don't know that you guys existed. And I thank God every day for you guys.
We thank God for you, Alma. Thank you so much for sharing. Please give Alma so much love in the chat, emoji react, and truly just like such an inspiration for so many across this country. And yes, we're here for you. And I know I saw an update earlier. People are also ready to support. We've reached $525 of donations so far. So yeah, keep putting money into the raffle, donating to support Alma in her journey for justice and especially her family too. I will pass it to Jenica to introduce our next speaker.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Alma. Yeah, we're actually going to hear from Chris next. Chris is Alma's child. Chris uses they, them pronouns, and yeah, we'll be sharing more about like the impact of family being in ICE detention. Yes, I love this photo of you, Chris. It's so good. Just want everyone to know how much I love it. But yeah, Chris, like whenever you're ready, feel free to start.
Okay, thank you guys. More than anything, thank you for being there for my mom. I don't even know how to necessarily follow up what she said, other than to kind of add to it, like from the beginning, just her being detained. Like losing your family like that is such a heavy blow, especially when she's always been like one of my main support systems. We've been there for each other. Um, it was terrifying. And then on top of just being able to try to contact her was expensive. Like you even trying to send her money. I remember her telling me that something as small as like a 99 cents bottle of shampoo out here is like $5 more in there. So it hurt so bad knowing that especially not knowing that you guys exist at the time, I had no way of helping her or trying to get any support there for her, and it hurt. I'm happy we have her here now, but as she had said, like even from the time she first got out, we were afraid to answer the door. We didn't know what was going to happen, who could call and who could show up. You just have no idea. And as the years have gone, you'd think it would get better, but as soon as this year began, everything became so much worse. And even little things like stuff that it's stressful to figure out where you're going to move, where you're going to live, but like it's horrifying not knowing, hey, do I need to make sure that I still have a room for my mom because I don't know what's going to happen later in the month. And I don't even really like bringing it up because I don't even like putting it out there because my mom's coming home. That's the mentality I'm keeping. But you have to plan for every possibility, and it's terrifying. I don't want to lose my mom, and I don't want to not be able to support her regardless of whatever happens. And it's scary.
Thank you, Chris, so much for, yeah, being vulnerable and honest with us. I know it's like really hard, but yeah, speaking truth to like the realities and the impact of having close ones, loved ones, family, in ICE detention is so important. Um, yeah, for the community to know. And so just like, yeah, really commending you and your vulnerability today. Thank you so much. Um, great. I think we can move into the next part. So, yeah, just another reminder to continue purchasing the raffle tickets. The money will go directly to supporting Alma, her family, going to the check-in. Um, but yes, okay, next slide as well. We're going to watch together a cultural performance by Gabriella Seattle. It's a performance from the People's Choir there. They are singing a song called Mahapti sa Mata, which loosely translates to Sore Eyes. It's a song about fighting through the challenges in a life full of hardship, and really speaks to how it is really through waging struggle together that we can harvest the seeds of hope. The song describes the heaviness and like the sadness that burns the eyes from crying, but through it all, really wishing to be with our loved ones again. Um, yeah, I think we can go ahead and play this song.
Oh, anak, hindi mo kailangan ibato ang lahat na nararamdam na puot.
Thanks so much for Oh, yeah. Thanks so much, Tech, for helping us watch that really beautiful cultural. I think someone pasted like the translations and stuff like in the chat, but if you look at it, there are lyrics, right, that say, I will be with you in your struggles. I will stand by you. And yeah, really as continued attacks on migrants are happening every day, GAB, alongside other community organizations, will continue to respond through defending our people and working towards a world where our people can truly be free. And so, yeah, after watching that beautiful cultural, I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Julie.
Yes. Okay, so the moment a lot of people have been waiting for, we're going to do our first two raffles. And as of now, we've fundraised $640 that will go directly to the expenses that Alma and family will incur for this next ICE check-in. So yeah, Tabs has the wheel of names, and yeah, Tabs, I'll pass it to you if you want to.
All right. I figured I could put the little bees in the middle, but I'm gonna hit this and we'll see who will get it. Go, Sam.
We promise it's not rigged. It's not rigged, but dang. Nice. Yeah. Love those bees. Um, yes, congratulations. So we'll coordinate with everybody who wins the raffle of getting it sent to you. And yeah, we can actually bring it next week because we'll all be together in person at the check-in. Okay, so the bees was the first raffle. The next raffle, did you do the second one as the
No, I one at a time only. But I will remove one, Sam.
Yes, we'll take one Sam out.
Okay, what is the next raffle item?
I believe the next one is the
Little fidget chucks.
yes, the fidget hedgehogs.
All right. Fidget hedgehogs, here we come.
Ooh, we have Cesar S. And then
Seeing a note that Tanggol Migrante, can you say your name? I only put the people that marked that they are donating to the raffle. Um, and then there were people that donated that didn't mark that they were donating for the raffle.
oh no, so we hope it wasn't just a technical error. We do have more. We can make sure your name gets added too if you can DM tabs to add it. If someone accidentally forgot to mark it was for the raffle, DM tabs and we can make sure your name gets added because there's still more raffles to go.
Yes. Just a note, I don't see your name in the donations, Claudia, but I can touch base with you.
All right. And can we get the slides back up on Atticus's screen? Congratulations to our winners. Just want to double check that is Cesar still here? They may not be here. Are they Yes, they're still here in the chat. Congratulations. Yes, so this is what Sam won raffle item number 1. If you go to the next slide. Yes, and you get to pick which one you want. So Cesar gets these hedgehog fidget crocheted items. And next slide. All right. So we have our next speaker. I'm so excited to introduce Marte White, who is a trans femme activist local to the metro Atlanta area, who is a member of the Malaya, Georgia chapter, and who will speak to us about the importance of community support and defense and the work of the Justice for Alma Bowman campaign. Pass it to you, Marte.
All right, so I'm just gonna get right into it. Basically, like community support and defense is like a crucial aspect of the struggle to keep Alma free and in the States. In Malaya, Georgia, we're really trying to put in an effort to make sure that Alma isn't alone in her fight, and that, she's got that kind of like community support. Um, there have been a bunch of different ways that we've been able to either express that support ourselves or mobilize community support for Alma throughout the time we've known her, and I'm just gonna kind of get into some of those. So one of the ways that kind of gets into what we just did, that we've been able to mobilize community support for Alma, has been in terms of resources. So Alma kind of talked about how the state puts a lot of barriers, um, will not let her like work, they won't let her drive. You know, there's a lot of like actual financial barriers that exist for people who are under supervision, like Alma is. Um, on top of that, Alma lives in Macon. This was also already mentioned. Alma lives in Macon, and the actual facility in which she has to do her check-ins is all the way in Atlanta, which is 2 hours away. So there's a lot of expenses when it comes to even just like traveling from Macon to Atlanta. And then just in general, being in this type of situation, it's it's also like financially taxing. So, Malaya is a community driven organization. The Justice for Alma Bowman campaign is a community driven campaign. So we rely on community donations as a way of fundraising. So anyone who's like contributed resources to Alma's campaign have helped with everything from like the expenses of getting to the check-ins, to food, to medical expenses, printing, a lot of other things. And then also like with resources, sometimes it's just about like making sure that Alma is able to get what she needs, even outside of the term, like outside of like financial terms. So like, there was like Alma had like the knee problem for a while. I had to stand in like the long ICE check-in line. So we made sure at first that she got an ambulator so that, she could kind of like rest while she was in line, because of course they don't care about that. And like what people's physical conditions are. And then she was able to get a wheelchair. So that's like, another form of support. We've had like a lot of like community members come in and and donate too, like especially by contributing to um Alma's like kind of like crochet creation type of project. So by buying some of her creations, they've contributed to financially to the campaign. So for example, um, Alma came with us to a Filipino Students Association event that was being held at Emory University, and there, like, students were able to make contact with Alma, and they also bought some of the crochet creations. And so by doing that, they also helped support her in her campaign. The other thing that like Malaya, Georgia really does is like show up to the check-ins. Like we really want to be there to demonstrate that people have Alma's back. She's not alone. They can't just disappear her, because low key, like that's what ICE is doing to a lot of people. Like, they, might not have like people surrounding them. And when, they get taken away or something like that, or they might not have people to actually process the legal implications of what's going on with ICE supervision with. So, after the check-ins, we hear about like what Alma was told by the ICE officials, and then from there, we can make further plans on what kind of actions we could take in order to try to get Alma off of deportation order and prevent her from being detained. Sometimes that's just my Malaya, Georgia members, but we also try to get other people out. Like, for example, last time we had um, a few other people from other organizations that were there as well. So, for example, we had like a professor from Georgia State University that attended, and we also had like another Atlanta activist that was able to attend. So we want to really demonstrate that there's like a broad community behind Alma, and for this next check-in, we really, really, I'm saying, want to even increase that, so, we really want like everybody who's in the area to be able to come out. Beyond that, like we've done things when it comes to like engaging with some of these institutions that are involved in the whole supervision process in order to support Alma. So, for example, we collectively wrote notarized letters just talking about Alma's character and how much of like an advocate she is, like really just drawing attention to her case and highlighting like how she's a positive impact on the world. And we sent these to the Board of Pardons and Paroles as part of like a way to try to get them, if not to grant her a pardon, at least to highlight like this is somebody who, if you're gonna like keep her, on this supervision, that really sucks because look at all the good things that she's doing for the world. You know what I'm saying? So just actually drawing attention to that is so important. And then lastly, like just being there for Alma and her family is another thing that is I think a very important integral element of community support for the Bowman family. Like we've broken bread together. Like we've been to their home and like played video games together. Like we've made a lot of positive memories that I think like are important when there's something this stressful and this threatening kind of perpetually hanging over your head. So we want to make sure that, I mean, beyond like the political things, like, we're just there for them as people. And so, yeah, so that's pretty much, that's what the community support element about this is all about.
Thank you so much, Marte. Could everybody give another round of applause? Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for, your continued work, showing up for Alma and her family, and for speaking to the necessity of broad community support and migrant defense during this time. I'll go ahead and introduce the next speaker we have. We have Jill. Jill is a national leader with Gabriella USA and is based in LA. Woot woot. Their organization, Gab, has been at the forefront of the Defend Migrants campaign, alongside many other community-based organizations. This campaign is really developed to build up community networks and leaders against the fascist attacks on Filipino migrant workers and to defend migrants everywhere. Jill, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Thanks, Jenica. Can folks hear me okay? Okay, cool. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me today. Thank you to Alma Bowman and their family for really hosting this webinar and really giving the foundation and the idea for this webinar. As Gabriella USA, we united to take up the Justice for Alma Bowman campaign in 2023. And we've been inspired by Alma's bravery in condemning violence against women, especially migrant women detained in ICE detention centers. And even beyond the detention center, right, Alma continues to advocate for migrants. She's often joined the Defend Migrants campaign national calls and really pushed to have today's webinar to provide practical guidance and develop more community support, especially how to support loved ones who are either in ICE or, in the process, or sorry, in detention or in the process of, coordinating with ICE. We also really uplift Alma's bravery in being a whistleblower in the detention centers. It's people like Alma that we need in society, right? And so, as folks mentioned, yes, Gabriella has been a part of the Defend Migrants campaign. It is a campaign that launched last year in November to really uplift the need for community defense networks against the attacks on Filipino migrants and to defend migrants here in the U.S. And everywhere. And as folks mentioned too at the beginning, right, since the election of Donald Trump, there's been a spew of anti-migrant rhetoric and legislation. And on the Philippine government's end, instead of really supporting or defending Filipino migrants, departments like the Department of Foreign Affairs and the embassy have jumped at the opportunity to work with the new president. And they have even gone as far as saying disrespectful and thoughtless comments, like, for example, the Philippine ambassador to the US, Jose Manuel Romualdez, one of his comments said, "Don't wait to be deported," urging for undocumented Filipinos to leave the US before Trump's inauguration. And so we really see this violent neglect as something to organize against, right? And in the Defend Migrants campaign, we've taken up multiple tactical fights, to denounce, these unjust policies and treatment of migrants, of Filipino migrants. And so I'm holding a sign in the photo here that says Free Ligaya. Just earlier this month, we met with the Philippine consulate in Los Angeles to urge them to conduct welfare checks on Ligaya Jensen, to release assistance to nationals, which are funds that are dedicated to supporting Filipinos in distress, and to urge them to join us in our pardon, in supporting a governor's pardon for Ligaya. Ligaya Jensen is a Filipino mother, a green card holder who was unjustly arrested for a crime she was a victim to, and immediately after her release, she was taken into ICE custody. She's been detained for over 6 years now, and continues to be in ICE detention center in Eloy, in Arizona. We are actually planning to visit Ligaya this weekend. And I remember sharing about Ligaya's story to Alma, and she really gave us advice, right, and really warned us of the inhumane and unjust conditions inside of the Eloy Detention Center. And so, despite these conditions, the Philippine government has done nothing to really address the medical neglect, the mistreatment of migrants, like Ligaya inside of these detention centers. We're also uplifting the case for Denmark and Jovi, two certified nursing assistants who were falsely accused of attacking their patient when they were acting in self-defense. And so this is, a story this is a case that is ongoing. Jovi actually voluntarily went back to the Philippines because he could no longer, live under the conditions in ICE in these detention centers. Denmark is currently still detained, and the Defend Migrants campaign urgently is calling on the embassy to, release again assistance to nationals, to Filipinos in distress, and to Filipinos who are experiencing these severe conditions, right? These governments, the Philippine government has a responsibility to serve its constituents. And in the waging of Alma's campaign, what it was mentioned that ICE had lost her documents. And in following the protocol and in coordinating with the Philippine embassy or the Philippine government, it was discovered that the Philippine government doesn't have Alma's birth certificate. And we see, this complete mismanagement of these very important documents, which have complicated things immensely for Alma. And what was shared earlier, right? Alma, under the order of supervision, shared difficulty in being able to access basic things like having a driver's license, or even sharing, right, that they have to pay for a work permit in order to be able to work. And oh, sorry. Additionally, medical expenses continue to skyrocket as well. And so in all of these cases, as was shared, there were people's organizations who really took up the fight for justice, for the people's right to a livelihood and work, and to be able to have an opportunity to like provide for their families. And through the campaign, we were really able to expose the negligence of the Philippine government and its overseas representatives, that being the Department of Foreign Affairs, the consulates, as well as the Department of Migrant Workers and the migrant workers offices. They, through action, have exposed, right, their disinterest in actually serving the nationals that they are responsible for. And so we really link this story to the story of Flor Contemplacion, her death anniversary being 2 days ago. Flor was an overseas Filipino worker and was executed for an alleged crime she didn't commit. And despite public clamor, the Philippine government did not do anything. They stood idly by, and she was executed in Singapore in 1995. And so despite being, 30 years later, we still see these conditions, and we still see that migrants continue to face abuse, unjust detention, and criminalization. And what is at the root cause of this, right? What is it at the root cause of Filipinos having to migrate abroad? And as Gabriela, as the National Democratic Organizations, we really see the Philippines as a resource-rich country. It's a resource-rich country that is kept stunted by U.S. interests. That being said, the U.S. Utilizes its military and economic stranglehold on the Philippines in order to carry out its own interests. It continues to take natural resources, sets up military bases, and exploits the people for cheap labor. In the Philippines, the average daily minimum wage is 440 pesos, which amounts to $7.49. This is not enough in order to survive, let alone provide for one's family, right? And so I really see the need to fight for a Philippines that is truly sovereign, one that does not have to cater to U.S. imperialist interests, one that is genuinely democratic and nationally sovereign. And as Gabriela, we are fighting for a family living wage in the Philippines, one that would amount to over 1,200 pesos or $20 a day, right? Not even, that much, but, it's a push that we're actually really calling on and encourage many Filipinos to join in this call, right? And yeah, this call is really due to our concern of the rising prices of basic commodities in the Philippines, the cost of utilities, healthcare, education, housing, all these conditions that show the economic crisis that force more migrants to live and work abroad. And so to be able to really end this pattern of exploitation, we are really calling for national industry and genuine agrarian reform in the Philippines. And for, yeah, as mentioned, a Philippines that is truly free. And so all this to say, right, all these funds that could be going to services, where are they going instead? The U.S. More recently has exempted over $336 million for the modernization of Philippine military, despite a foreign aid freeze. And this is something that Philippine representatives have really welcomed. And for us, we really say that we do not need militarization, right? We need these services that will be able to support our families. And yeah, with the worsening economic conditions back home, Filipinos here do not become undocumented willingly. They do not willingly try to break the laws of another country, and we have to really challenge this sentiment of a good immigrant or a bad immigrant, and really show that migrants are forcibly put under these exploitative and desperate situations. And we have to really show that those who are actually truly breaking the law and doing, unjust things are, the traffickers, the institutions like ICE that, create these worsening conditions for migrant communities. And so we as Gabriela, alongside Alma and all Filipino migrants who are facing unjust conditions in these detention centers, abroad in their host country, we encourage all Filipinos to join us in the campaign to fight for justice for Alma and also to defend migrants everywhere. Yeah, really uplifting the need for international solidarity and for national democracy in the Philippines. That's it from me. I'll pass it back over to our facilitators.
Great. Thank you so much, Jill. Really appreciate it. Yeah, claps for Jill. Woohoo! Yeah, really important that we're linking this to the material conditions back home in the Philippines. And really love that you underscored, emphasized we need to continue fighting, defending migrants here, but also continue fighting for a truly liberated Philippines. It's all connected. Really appreciate it. Okay, great. I think we can go to the next slide. Oh, no Q&A. I apologize, everyone. Okay, great. We're gonna get started or finish up actually our raffle. Oh yeah, tabs. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It quadrupled in amount of people who donated. That's amazing. Yeah, feel free to take it away. This is for the Malaya shirt.
This is for the Malaya shirt. I was reminded that when people buy raffle tickets that are in excess of the $5, it's more entries. So apologies on the first round, but here we go for this shirt. Let's go. Yay, Cassandra. We'll be in touch with you.
Congrats, Cassandra. Very epic. Okay, yay. I think we can pull up the slides again for our last two items. The last two items will actually be auctions. So if you recall, the very epic spinner, as well as hat, will be auctioning those off right now. So how this will work, they're both going to have some starting bids, and I'm going to ask folk, to put your bids in the chat. And I guess I'll just be narrating as the prices or the bids come in. But yeah, this is a very epic spinner, weighed down by the Philippine Sun and Stars. So with starting bid of $40. Is there any takers for 40 in the chat? Don't be shy.
Yeah, just imagine hanging it from outside your window. Maybe you have a porch in the summertime, blowing in the wind.
I was low-key trying to like be polite and not bet on it because I really want as like a as an MC. But okay. Denise for 40. Okay. Any any higher bid than that? Okay, period. Okay, anyone want to beat 40? Going once? Going twice? Okay. The auction or the spinner will go to Denise for $40. Yeah, if you can donate to the donation link, the $40, that would be very epic sauce. Um, and then we have our congrats, Denise. We'll do the last item as well, the Filipino hat. Um, yeah, starting bid $50. So we'll do the same. Yeah, we'll do the same process. So yeah, starting at 50, are there any takers for $50 for the hat? Just imagine you'd be the coolest swagapino in town with this hat on. Oh, Jem's about to be the coolest swagapino in LA. Okay, Gem for 50. Anyone want to beat 50? Oh, okay. We have some testimonials about that. Very comfy. Okay, 50. Going once, going twice. Okay, sold to Gem for $50. Thank you, Gem. Okay, I am sweating facilitating this. Really appreciate everyone who donated. I wonder if we could get like a tally of like how much we were able to raise. But yeah, for folk who won these items, the event organizers will be getting back to you. Yes. Do 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 do. Oh yes. Oh, did someone unmute who wanted to speak?
I can give a quick update. Between Venmo, the Malaya USA website, all your donations, we are at 975, which actually we are now at,
Can we get 1,000?
let's get it to 1,000. Anybody? Let me refresh real quick.
So close. We're so close.
We got a donation from Sam K for 50, so we are actually at 1075.
Wow.
Our goal for the webinar was $300 to $500, so you all helped us surpass our goal by double.
Yes. And just highlighting what Jill even said in the chat, right? Like the goal for March was 2000. So already more than halfway through the March goal. It's awesome. Thank you, everybody who contributed. This is really awesome. Yeah, I think then I know we're a little over time, so I'm actually going to pass it to Anna to like lead us through like some final calls to action.
Yeah, hi everybody. Thanks for the intro and thank you so much for doing so amazingly and helping us more than surpass our fundraising goal. As you can see from this slide and as you've heard about throughout the night, the big number one thing that Alma and her family could use is financial support right now. Like I said, we've done amazingly with your raffle ticket purchases and your donations and your generosity. As Julie, Marte, and Alma herself have testified, these ICE check-ins are really resource intensive. So as you've seen, these donations are going to go towards necessities like car maintenance for her family and campaign materials and ways to keep this thing moving. So just please keep sharing those donation links far and wide. I think maybe we can move to the next slide, maybe? Yeah, so another action item you can do is actually provide us with letters of support. So we'll be offering sample letter templates that that you guys can customize for yourself, include something a little bit personal, and Alma will be able to furnish these at her check-in to further urge ICE against any kind of severe action. We want these letters in by March 24 via email so we can have them ready for Alma to take with her on check-in day on the 26th. So next slide, please. Along with sending out a letter template, we're also going to do a phones app. On Monday, March 24, we want to fill the Icefield office's ears and voicemail inboxes with words of community support for Alma. We're going to have a script just like the letter in our follow-up. And again, both the letter template and the phone script, along with phone numbers for the Icefield office, will be made available for you guys to share widely with your own networks and your own organizations after this webinar. So on Monday, please have your friends and organization members call if you can. Thank you. And let's do the next slide. And finally, what you can do if you're local to the area or just in the South for some reason, you can join us on the day of Alma's check-in. Malaya, Georgia members and our friends are going to be rallying outside the Atlanta Icefield office to support her. We're going to meet up at 8:30 a.m. on check-in day, March 26th. We have an RSVP link down there, or depending on where your window is, anywhere. Non-local friends can also join us via the Facebook live stream. We'd really encourage you to come down if you're in the neighborhood. We'd love to see you. And otherwise, let's go ahead to the next slide. And finally, yeah, like as you've seen throughout the night, just keep sharing these donation links far and wide and to help us out with these letter writing campaigns. I think also we would encourage you to join the Defend Migrants campaign. Jill already spoke really intensively about the wonderful work that we're doing to provide resources and information that will help us protect immigrant communities. All these calls to action are going to be on our post-webinar follow-up. Like I said, just share these links, join us in writing letters and making calls, and come see us here in Georgia. We'd love to see you. Thanks, everybody. I'll let our MCs say goodnight, I think.
Yeah, we have one more slide, I think.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Call to action.
There we go. Yeah, that's how to join the Defend Migrants campaign. Tango Migrante. We'd love to have you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anna, for helping us go through all of the calls to actions. I believe they'll also be summarized in a follow-up email with participants. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you to our speakers for really taking the time today to hear from the experiences of our community and those fighting for justice. This has been great. Really awesome that we got to hit over $1,000 in fundraising. So really couldn't have been done without community, everybody. So let's continue to organize even outside of this space, right? Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. I hope everybody has a good rest of their Wednesday. Oh, maybe we can take a photo, question mark? Like a Zoom selfie?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. Yeah, if folk want to get on the Zoom selfie, feel free to go on camera.
Yeah, for anyone who feels comfortable. And we can take the screen share off now too. Yes.
Is there someone tasked with taking the actual screenshot?
Oh, cute. I don't think so, but I can take it. Let me
Thank
get
you.
ready. Oh, it's so great to see everyone's face from all across the country.
Oh.
Okay. We'll do a few. 1, 2, 3. You can put your fist up if you want. Oh my gosh, are we still recording?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Can we do a chant that says justice for Alma?
Yeah.
Justice for Alma Bowman.
Justice
for Alma Bowman.
Justice for Alma Bowman.
Justice for Alma
me and
Bowman.
all the migrants.
Justice for Alma Bowman.
Yes. Defend Filipino migrants.
Defend Filipino migrants.
Justice for Alma Bowman.
Justice for Alma
Alma
Bowman.
Bowman.
Yeah. Alma, do you have any final words you want to share with everyone before we hop off?
Maraming salamat. You guys are awesome. Sorry.
We love you, Alma.
We love you, Alma. Love you.
Awesome. Thank
Love
you
you,
very
Alma.
much. Thank you very much from Canada.
Love y'all. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Yeah.
We could stay on if a few people want to debrief.